Stray Kids. Today I'm bringing them back for you with the song Hollow, which talks about a certain melancholy from reflecting on an experience that, although full of victories, the person still feels lonely, and these victories don't bring them true satisfaction. Even with people around them, they still struggle to feel happy. So that's the song's lyrics. 2 weeks ago, I reacted to them, but it was a song that's not exactly melodic, more singable song, or of a hip hop, rap style. So I couldn't evaluate, get to know them from a vocal technique perspective. Today we will see here, they published this performance on the First Take channel a few days ago. So let's see here what they deliver for us. Okay, this one is In or IN. He has a really quite nasal voice, very directed with a metallic quality to it, but the voice is projected despite that. A very K-pop characteristic, but with quality, he has volume. This is Felix, a voice I've known for some time. I even knew this characteristic of his voice with a bit more ruggedness. He has such a deep voice. I'd say he's a baritone, but a baritone leaning more towards tenor. But he has this more velvet, darkened characteristic with this roughness that I don't know if it's a technique he applies or if it's natural to his voice. He adds this roughness with briefness and brings an aggressiveness. In the rap from that previous song, it brought a lot of characteristics of strange, of aggressiveness, but here he is more restrained with something more melodic. These high notes are tricky to jump to, but he landed them uniformly and comfortably. The notes weren't shouted, they were sung just right, great quality. Here I'm not sure if the guy is Changbin, I think it's the first one over there. I might be mistaken, forgive me fans if I get the names or their positions wrong. By the way, thanks to those who wrote to me in the comments what I had asked for, the order of the guys in this performance, so I could know more or less or remember each one's name. It is him, Changbin. A very delicate voice, different from the other guys, very interesting. He makes this transition to falsetto absurdly better than I just did, with total quality, made the transition practically without noticing there was a register change, very good. This guy, now that I lost track of the position, was paying attention to the audio. He has characteristics quite similar to who sang right before him. They in general, I think they are all tenors here, baritones leaning to tenors, very high voices. It's a K-pop characteristic in general, and very metallic voice, except the first one, which is IN. The others have nasality, but not as emphasized as the first ones.
Take it,
This one here, he already has a very nasal voice, like that first guy. His falsetto has a bit more briefness compared to that one I mentioned earlier who made the transition to falsetto. Very directed toward the nose. They have a great quality in their falsetto usage, almost without briefness. All of them had voice in very high regions, mixed voice, in general not using belting, very delicate, very interesting. He has a different voice, Ian, compared to these three who sang the chorus now. Now it was very noticeable that he has a nasal voice, but it's quite open, more rounded compared to these other three. And compared to the rest of the group, a different characteristic, a rounding even similar to Felix. This one with the beanie, I think he's probably a rapper. Or at least here, I haven't heard him singing much. Now he brought some aggressiveness. And when he brings this aggressiveness, his low notes come a bit heavier. Yeah, he is a baritone, not a tenor. Definitely, he is a baritone. He really stays in the middle ground, as he showed difficult hitting the high note. So he's a baritone leaning more toward the low range. Although he's not exactly a bass baritone, but he had some difficulty reaching that high note. Here he already forced a little to go, which is natural for deep voices. The song is really quite lamentful, thoughtful, with this electronic sound that resembles rock, with those synthesizers in the background, expresses a certain pain but in a not so suffering way. But there are many jumps here of 50s, octaves, 70s, and the jumps that even require them to go into falsetto. It's a relatively high song and it brings this character of reflection of thought. This song reminds me of a video game song with this background sound that indicates something continuing, like it's a game level that's progressing. Did well, the high note here with great lightness, low volume, with some briefness that I don't know if it's from the whisper technique or if it's from his voice, but he delivered well. beautiful this contrast, all of them doing the patterns really very high, and now Felix coming in contrasting with this guy here, and he brings that rounder voice, deep, velvet, somewhat dark. They're really a tenor group, a high-pitched vocal group, very much so. When I listen to BTS, for example, they have some variety, like with V, the two guys who are rappers who also have very deep voices. EXO also has some more distinctive voices, but they're probably more of tenors, with Felix being this contrast within the group. The melodies have to be very well taught also to fit him. It seems they compose it too, some people told me in the comments. So they must think a lot about blending these timbres, because you can do quite a lot. But generally they really are tenors and light voices. With great quality in those falsettos they do, very well made transitions. It's not a very complex song, it's a relatively simple melody with some repetition, but interesting. I've already gotten familiar with their voices. I found Tang Bin's and IN's voices interesting, the two on the ends. I was surprised that Tang Bin raps too, but the two on the ends have, although with different qualities, one with nasality, the other with a slightly broader voice, but the high notes are distinct and very high quality. Felix with this contrast, and the other guys already have more similarity in terms of timbre, but very interesting. And put here in the comments, I already have some songs on my list that you requested, you asked me for, but comment for me some song that has even more technical complexity for us to analyze. So if you like this analysis, leave your comment below, your like, subscribe to the channel to see more videos like this. Consider making a donation below in the first pinned comment with the PayPal link or in the Super Thanks button below. Alright, see you.